What's happening, team? I hope this finds everybody well. On today's YouTube episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you into my world as an athlete heading into the Ironman in 3 weeks' time. The ambition of this video is, one, to show you actually the physical preparation that's going into it, and two, actually how to show what a lifestyle is like with someone who's trying to achieve high performance. Today's training session is we got 3 weeks to the race. We've got to have 2 weeks of taper, so I've basically got just under 10 days left of intense training. Today's more around strength and speed. It's not necessarily about lifting as much load as possible. Something to be very prevalent of when you are going into competition is not getting injured and not measuring your ego. This is not an egotistical thing. I want to be as sharp as I possibly can come the 20th of August. Anyway, let's go. So one thing for you to remember, obviously what we're doing, first things first when it comes to training is you actually should warm up. The prowess of someone telling you that lions don't warm up, so should you, is fucking stupid. So getting your body primed and ready for exercise. Obviously what we're doing first is warm. Anybody using a Concept 2 bike, be mindful. This fan here, if you have it at 10, that means you're like riding uphill on a mountain bike. You want to have it on a low gear, it's called a damp factor, so that you're actually able to complete. But it's just about getting warm first, range of movement, activation, then we're going to prime or potentiate, and then get into it. Next piece, just to remember, whenever you're doing a warm-up, going into training, you don't want to do anything static. Obviously, basically, think of it as a rubber band. If you've got a rubber band and you hold it in a stretched position for a long period, it becomes slack. It's the same with your muscles. When you're going into a session, you're going to work on mobility, sort of range of mobility, or flexibility, sorry, away from the session. What we're trying to do now is improve range of movement in joints to get them ready by getting blood flowing into them. Basically is the posh term, okay? The layman's terms of that means stretch through movement rather than trying to touch your toes, trying to use it as a mobility flow and work from there. One thing that can be helpful, especially when warming up, that's going to gear you up for exercise, actually breathing. It's the buzzword of the fitness industry at the moment, but the way that you breathe has huge indications of actually how you relax, i.e. this is called the world's greatest stretch. If I hold my breath, I can't get down there because I'm bracing my abs. If I breathe in, breathe out, I'm gonna get lower, I'm gonna relax my body and get ready. I should breathe out at the top as well, purely because we're trying to get that active range as much as possible, okay? Next one I'm gonna go into just a frog stretch and then pulse from there. Last one is I'm gonna go into a pigeon stretch, and what I do is I sink as low as I possibly can. I then step over and I go into a bit of a groin stretch, hold for a second, come back. So obviously those that know me, you see that I've got a big scar on my leg where I had an injury. This leg is a lot more difficult, a lot more unflexible in my hip capsule, so it takes a bit longer to warm up. So it's about knowing yourself, it's not about following what other people are doing. Something for you to consider as well, I'm blowing. Whenever you're doing a warm-up, whatever you're doing at the beginning of a session is going to stimulate adaptation. So many people just fucking swing their arms or shake their legs and just go for a run. You're missing part of the adaptation. You're missing the bit where you're teaching your body a certain skill, whether it's bracing mechanics or what I'm doing at the moment is range of movement. It starts from the beginning. All you want is value for your session, not 10 minutes of you performing shit, then 50 minutes of performing good. Getting yourself in a better position, you're going to be able to supersede your last session. That's the whole point of adaptation and actually getting better, yeah? Shoelaces, bro. Last bit, once you start, you're feeling warm, obviously it's potentiate. You should do this before any session. You should do this, you can use this protocol for anything speed. What I do is either a jump, a swing, or I like to use a bike at the moment, just because from an Ironman perspective, I'm using a bike. It's hit something really hard. You want to try and have that explosive energy, that explosive sort of movement pattern at the end. It's going to wake you up. It's going to stimulate your muscle tissue to start activating and to be fast, more force, stronger, more stable. The ambition is to just to bang it. This is not conditioning. This is speed. Yeah. You want to be working 10 to 15 seconds, 60 seconds to 90 seconds break. Like I said, don't work about kissing. This is not conditioning. This is to get warm. First exercise that I'm doing is a Zercher reverse lunge. A Zercher position used mainly to load your abs first. So it's called anterior loading. Whenever you're running or you're doing any form of endurance, the reason why you get injured is because you lose form first. If you lose form, it's because of muscular endurance, and usually your core is the weakest link. Okay, so why instead of me, I'm quite a strong dude, some will know, I'm a lot stronger than I am, or than powerful, for example. I can lift a lot of load on my back, whereas coming into a race, it's not an egotistical thing. I'm working on core stabilization first. Also in my session, you'll see that I'm putting single leg first with some core. Again, the reason for that is because in a session, you're keeping the main thing at the beginning of the session should be the most focused. The deadlifting that I'm doing afterwards is more based around speed and pressure. It's not based around super heavy lifting, and super heavy lifting is for you. I'm an efficient deadlifting person, so again, I can do it knowing that I'm in a good position. If you're untrained or you're an intermediate athlete or someone who's not gym versed or a powerlifter, you do not need to deadlift. It's just in my program. Blow it. One thing that I find in sessions, especially speaking to clients, is actually taking adequate rest. Your strength session should not be a cardio session, i.e. rushing between exercises, trying to keep your heart rate up. The ambition is to let your heart rate come down. So a rule of thumb, 2 minutes is about good for strength, 60 seconds for muscle building. But if you want to actually learn how to lift and be a real geek, you can go off heart rate. So I usually get down to heart rate about 110, means that I'm starting to recover and I've calmed down, rather than if my heart rate's still at 140 and I'm trying to produce force, I'm relying on muscular endurance, and if I can be conditioned rather than reload the gun and generate as much force as possible. Weight wise, 3 times 6 and 6. I've gone into a working set straight away because I feel like I'm warm. 60, 80. I'm gonna stay at 80 just because I'm working on stability. So whenever you're doing exercises, there are 2 things to remember. There's it depends on your training age, but warm-up sets, you're trying to supersede your working sets. So an example, if I did the barbell, that doesn't count as a set because that's not adaptive to me. For me, I can go straight into it. I'm a very trained individual. So someone who's intermediate to novice, or even intermediate to more of a, we call it elite, but elite means long-term training age. You can actually have weight on the bar, say with like a back squat. You could go 60, 80, 100, 120, and then go into a working set. Or if you're not that versed, those small sets will count. Just be mindful of when you're training, you're beating the week before. So last week, I started at 50, I then went 70, and then I think I went 85. I'll check in a minute. This week, I've gone 60, 80. I'm gonna stay at 80 just because, not gonna lie, legs are a bit jaded from yesterday. I lied. Put a tiny little bit extra on just so I beat the week before, but just not too much. Yeah. You still got to have to push yourself in a gym session, yeah? It's funny when you do this sort of thing. You'd be surprised on what wrecks you the most. You'll see when I'm deadlifting, I'm not like this. But when you're doing stuff that keeps you stable, single leg, it's called unilateral, it'll take so much more energy because you're having to balance and stabilize at the same time. So most people think you got to lift as heavy as you can all the time, where this is about being more efficient, performing better, and stable. But literally, stability is king when it comes down to any form of force generation, by far than anything else. So, a funny story this morning. You'll see the state of my ear. I haven't introduced you to it yet. I went for a recovery run this morning with the dog down the canal. Lovely morning, 6:30 in the morning. One of my favourite things to do. And I was running, and there was an overhang bush. Obviously, duck underneath it. Duck underneath. Someone's obviously been fishing, caught their fish hook in a tree, and they've left it across the whole of the pond. So it's like a cheese wire. I nearly fucking cut my head off. Just saying, if it was my wife, I'd be raging, because I've had a few incidents in my lifetime on this face. It's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. It's not a problem for me, but for someone pretty, it's a problem. So yeah, there's a reason why I've got a scabby ear. I've got sumo deadlifts. I'm actually gonna do these with a hanging. Sorry, then I will roll out. So in my phases of training, heading into, so I've got my taper. This is the high end, the peaking side of my training cycle. I'm doing sumo deadlifts for speed, not for weight. I use sumo deadlifts personally because it helps my glutes are weak. Stereotype white boy, terrible glutes. And also, obviously for my knee injury, it works for me. If you are not a trained individual, mechanically this works for me too. What I would use is the hex bar or a rack pull, just because if you know what you're doing with deadlifting, it's one of the most beneficial movements you can do, in my personal opinion. But if you don't know, and if you're chasing ego, that means chasing weight, and you don't know the percentages, like I'm going to be working off 70 to 80% max today, not even that. It can be a bit dangerous, so just be mindful. But yeah, I use this for people who are trained individuals who've lifted for a long period of time. If you haven't, you can still use the same muscles, you just got to pick a different exercise. That's the magic of programming. That's the whole point. Remember, your training journey is your journey, this is mine. As mentioned before, this is not a working weight for me. I have pulled 260 off the floor. My last 1 RM I did was 250, so I'm gonna work off 250. I'm gonna get to about 70%-ish. 70 kilos for me is nothing, so this is just warming up technique. So first working set, I'm working at 120, sets of 4 to 6. The key thing I'm looking here is velocity. I'm looking to be speed. If I could have a tape that measures velocity, I would, but I haven't got one. It's on the Christmas list. Also to note, I've taken my shoes off, because with shoes, your feet slip around in the shoes, and when you're doing deadlifting, you want as much force going down through the floor as possible. And especially with any sumo, it's the same with squatting. You never want to have your knees driving in, so you're automatically driving your knees out. You want to be able to grip the floor. You'll also see liquid chalk. I probably will put straps on afterwards. There's a big debate in the fitness industry if we use straps. Unless you're a powerlifter, fucking use straps. Me personally, double overhand means that I stay square. I can do it mixed, so when I'm testing, I never use straps. But when you're training, if it's your grip that's going to fail you, I'm not measuring my ego. I don't give a fuck. I want to lift as quick and effectively and safely as possible, because the Ironman is the most important thing, not how much I can lift in my garage. Yeah. So yeah, I use Olympic straps. Let's just go over the bar. Bit of a funny one when you're doing so much chronic exercise, i.e. endurance. My thing is, if I was to use mixed grip, for example, I'm training only one side, that way I like being symmetrical. So again, if I was powerlifting, I wouldn't be using these. I'm not powerlifting, I'm looking to just get strong and powerful. So I am gonna. So I've worked up to 75, this is 75% for me. My program is 5 times 4 to 6. Those sort of rep ranges means you're finding your way between them. See how fast they are? I trained yesterday, is in gym, so I'm feeling a little bit jaded. So I'm just gonna go for 4 reps. I won't need a belt for this, but you can obviously, people think wearing a belt's cheating. Wearing a belt is not for your back. Anyone says that, they're a bellend. A belt is used for, it's called circumferential pressure. It helps you generate more pressure and more force. Again, not needed right now. Anything above this for me, I'll use a belt. If you're looking to use a belt, if you can't pull double body weight off the floor, you probably don't need one. Or 150% body weight, probably. Yeah, right neck of the woods. Teaching someone to use a belt's more important. Don't use it because it's gonna protect your back, because it doesn't. Done. So, post session, don't worry if you don't get food in. My advice is to get food in. The window for opportunity doesn't diminish that long, but for me, I've got a call in just over 15 minutes. Convenience food is king. If you're not having a shake every single day in relation to not protein shake, but like a smoothie, it's the quickest way of getting dense nutrition in effectively at speed. And when you're busy, you got a shitload on, it's extremely important to get it in. Also, reason why I weigh my food and I put it in my fitness pal is because it gives me opportunity to manage it. A lot of the time, high level individuals who are working more than they should do really, they forget about eating and they've got extremely low energy availability, which means they have lack of adaptation, ultimately not performing at their best. So I don't weigh everything. I weigh the bulk of my food. I don't weigh veg, I just get that in. But what I do is later on, I'll go through what I'm doing for my lunch, how I can make that basically a quick convenience food rather than a gourmet dinner. Most people think you need a gourmet dinner. You don't, you just bang it in and get it done and move from there. So all I'm making is, what we'll do is I either use banana or oats. As people may know, brother's got a fresh new kitchen, so I actually don't know where half of my shit is, but I'll find it. So I'm using oats today. To be honest, if I could use a banana, I would do. So I've got oats, and then I also use frozen berries. This should be something that you have every single day, in my personal opinion. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. It doesn't have to be, a lot of people think that food has to be this glamorous thing. It doesn't. For when it comes down to sport performance or performance in general, it's about getting it in. So easily, all I'm gonna do is just put 30 grams in. I have got cup measures somewhere, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't got a clue where they are. So that is 32, that'll do. There, I'm gonna do, there. I usually, to be honest, I do this by eye, but I have half, it's about 100, that's about 200 grams of frozen fruit. Then, I haven't had my supplements this morning, so I have immune support, fruits and greens. Most people I work with are under-regulated. They don't eat anywhere near enough fruit and veg, and what they think is enough fruit and veg, I guarantee is not enough fruit and veg. So this stuff is amazing. It's basically antioxidant powder. CoQ10, needed is for heart health, cardiac health. It's also actually there for energy production. You start losing, it's a natural thing inside your body. You start losing that, I think it's at the age of 30. So it's just good to supplement. Multivitamin, it's very similar to that immune support, but I'm making sure that I've covered all the bases. Your vitamins and minerals are like the keys to all energy production and everything else in your body. And vitamin D3, this, if you're in the UK and not taking vitamin D, you're missing a trick, because you can't get vitamin D for most of the year. I think it's 10 months or 9 months of the year. So that helps with your immune system. That also helps with like cellular function. The last two I have are creatine monohydrate and obviously protein powder. Creatine monohydrate, absolute go-to. It helps with muscle mass, it helps with recovery. It's the most researched supplement out there. It is also, if you're a combat athlete, it actually helps stop dementia. There you go, it helps brain function, so it's really, really good. I use Reflex Whey Nutrition, it's grass-fed. It's basically not full of shit. So I have that, and I have 2 scoops of that, bang that in the blender, done. I think it's one of those things where you don't need to be super anal about measuring your food. Like then I didn't weigh out how much whey protein, it comes with a scoop, so I know it's 2 scoops. I'm not that, unless you're dialing in for a photo shoot, or if you're dialing in for a fight and it's super important, making it quick and accessible is the most important thing, and just making it a routine rather than it being this big hoo-ha. Just make it part of your lifestyle. Easy. Right, gang, so training done. Next part we've got today is we've got the Station on Tactical call, where other business owners, coaches, people in the leadership space will come together and we talk all things around high performance, how to elevate themselves, create better culture, improve their systemization of themselves, and also we do a lot around high performance mindset training. So anyway, catch you after this one. Right, gang, post tactical call. Whenever you're any sort of busy, high-performing individual knows speed is king. When it comes down to food, it's about getting it in. Something that you should have in your freezer. If you get, I'm not sponsored by these guys, a guy called Jim Kitchen. You can get them from any supermarket, convenience meals. They're single source ingredients. Yes, it's not ideal. Quick way that I'm gonna just get some food in, super simple. Everybody's banging on about the air fryer. Absolute game changer for me. Obviously, goat. Home Nando's, simple, chicken thighs, Nando's, and as much fruit and veg as I can, nice and quickly. Little note for you, if you've never measured food before, measuring protein, you measure it cooked. Measure it, in my opinion, because obviously water leaves the meat, etc. If you're measuring veg, which I'm not going to measure any of this veg because there's got any calories in it, you measure it not cooked, so you can measure it dry. Also, I'm just going to have it with pitters, super simple, nice and quick. All I'll do is take three thighs, these are quite big, super simple. This in here and give that for a couple of minutes. Literally leave that in 2 seconds. I'll cut those up as well and put those in the air fryer. And then, as I said, what I'll do is I will weigh them. The reason why I use an air fryer too, rather than a frying pan, is because I can actually leave it. So I can put it in the air fryer, I can piss off, do some work, even Instagram, or just have some downtime. Probably be good for me to throw a ball for the dog, even though I ran 10K with them this morning. I don't think you need much, do you, mate? But air fryers means you can just not muck around with them. It's nice and quick and easy. And then, yeah, go from there. Little point to note, especially whenever you're doing any meals, is adding veg in. This sounds like the most boring dad answer ever, but there is not a man on the planet or woman I've ever met in my life who eats enough veg, even vegetarians, I promise. Number one thing, especially you want to optimize your nutrition, is have something green. Spinach is a fucking epic. It's boring, just get it in you. I eat a lot of beetroot just because of nitrate, and also gut health is a huge thing for me, so we have kombucha or the goat of bad breath, sauerkraut. I love it, my missus fucking hates it, but again, it's the details, the little 1%. It's not important. If you could have this, you could have food with no veg. It doesn't matter. This stuff is gonna improve your health no end, and the more fiber you have, more correlative data of how long you live on the planet. So get it fucking in you. So literally all I'll do is I'll just literally sling it into. I always just put it into my salad. It's just easier and it mixes together. When you're putting it in a wrap, you put it in. You put your meat in, and then you put your salad in. It never fits. Mix it all together. So that is 180, 190, there you go, just under 200 grams of chicken. Put it into my Fitness Pal, Bob's your uncle. I'll put a bit of sauce on there. Just a note on, if you teach you to suck eggs, this sauce has got no calories in it, so I'm not gonna measure it. If you're having just usual condiments, obviously there's fucking loads of sauce in it, so everything counts. Put it in, those, go in those, done. So gang, that's a wrap. That was a day in the life of someone who's a high-performing individual who's looking to push themselves. The ambition of this video is to just give you a fly-on-the-wall exposure of what it's like to actually want to lead yourself and be as high-achieving as possible. We've gone through how I train, how I operate in the day, how I fuel my training, how I fuel my performance in my job. I film my job. And also we filmed 4 YouTube videos. One of them especially is dear to me, is why physical challenge is imperative for a successful individual. You're going to get more videos of this leading in, and after my Ironman, 3 weeks time, we'll be doing another one of these, which will be going over my Ironman journey and how it's gone. Hopefully it's gone. We're pushing for as close to 12 hours as possible. Game fucking on, kitchen sink mentality. You're going to have more experiences of a day in the life. I hope that's helpful. Any questions, comments, or any feedback, I'd love to hear more. Obviously, this channel is there to educate, inspire, and motivate you to take action and feel part of something that not many people are, and that's a high achieving individual that's wanting more for themselves and wants to grow. Anyway, have an awesome day. I'll catch you soon.